Hey, it's Ashley, a local mortgage lender here servicing North Carolina and South Carolina. I get this question a lot for my active service members who are getting ready to PCS to their new base and think that they can't buy until they're already at the new base or established. So, wanted to go over some of the lending guidelines for active service members. So, obviously, part of being active duty is that you could be transferred from base to base. You don't always know how long you're going to stay at a base, but that doesn't mean you don't have the opportunity to buy or shouldn't buy. So, let's talk about some of the advantages first of buying as an active service member. The biggest advantage is if you're using your VA loan, it is typically zero down payment. So, you're not typically coming out of pocket for a down payment, and the seller can cover the majority of your remaining closing costs if they're willing. So, it can be a loan that sometimes it's called a 100% financing loan if you get a seller credit to cover your remaining closing costs. In general, it can be a very low out of pocket loan for active service members or service members who are retired or out of duty. There's also sometimes down payment assistance programs that can cover those remaining closing costs for you. So the good news is using your VA loan is typically fairly inexpensive for you if you can get a seller credit as well. Another benefit is equity. The longer you're in the home, the more equity you have, which you then, if you decide to sell the home, is money in your pocket. The other thing a lot of my active duty members will do is they will keep the home even if they move to a new base and use it as a rental. So that way they can get rental income. And you can technically buy again, typically with your same VA benefit, even if you keep that home and still bring no down payment. What happens from the lending perspective if you're active duty and you're getting ready to PCS to your new base? You do not already have to be at the new base to be able to qualify for a VA loan. Typically, all we need are your transfer orders, and that's going to tell us what base you're going to and what time frame you're going to, and then we verify what your pay is going to be. Your base pay, your BAS, your BH, that all comes directly from the VA website. If you're getting extra pays, then those we have to verify that they're going to continue, but we don't even have to have you at base yet to typically figure out what you're going to be making. As far as how early you can close on a home before you're actually going to PCS, the standard guideline is 60 to 90 days for the VA. That's their typical guideline. They're looking for you to be able to move in within 60 days since it is always considered your primary residence when you're initiating that VA loan. However, there are caveats to that. If we can show when you're going to be transferring, sometimes you can push that out up to 12 months. It's not standard, but there are kind of workarounds with the VA. So they can be longer than 60 days, especially if you have a spouse that's coming over. We do see that often where the spouse may come over to the new base area first, get everything established, get the kids in school, etc. And then the active service member is going to be transferring a month or so later. So if you have a spouse that's coming over before you, then you can definitely close early. Or again, as long as we can verify your exact transfer time frame, a lot of times you can transfer even months later after you've closed on the home loan. So the two biggest documents we are using when we are qualifying you for a VA loan, especially if you're doing a PCS, is your COE. You do need to have an active COE because that gives you active VA benefits, and your transfer paperwork. If you do not have your transfer paperwork yet, which does happen, then usually your CO will have to create a form for you and sign it, again, verifying where you're going to be transferring and when you're going to be transferring. But other than that, it's a pretty simple loan process, and we want to make sure you know that you don't have to wait to buy if you're ready to buy and want to get started in your new area. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.